Hello everybody, it's Mystic and welcome back to my library. This is my review of Between Horizons, which is a story-driven point-and-click mystery game that I actually got for free on keymailer.co. So just FYI, this was given to me for free. No, it's not going to affect my opinion of the game in any way. I will be completely honest and transparent while giving this review. And Between Horizons is developed by Digitales Interactive and published by Assemble Entertainment. So thank you to them for the key. So as I said, Between Horizons is a mystery point-and-click adventure game set on a space station, not a space station, set on a spaceship that is currently traveling to another solar system because Earth has basically been left uninhabitable by humanity, and the people on the ship are trying to find a new planet to live on and, colonize it and make it their own home. You're going to be playing the role of Stella. She is the assistant security chief, and her father is the security chief of the entire ship. The beginning of the game, you basically are just kind of thrown into an investigation. Something is kind of going wrong with the computer systems, and you're set to try and figure out what exactly is happening. But in the process of doing that, a whole bunch of things kind of snowball at once, and this whole big mystery is kind of unveiled that is happening on the ship, and it's up to you to try and figure out what's going on. Each case in the game, you have, I believe there's 6 or 7 cases total, and each case kind of plays into the other ones. They are all related somehow, so when you're finding the answer to one case, it'll help you kind of crack the case for other ones and give you some background on how those are going to play out as well. One thing that I actually think was kind of interesting about this game is that your choices truly matter. This is listed as a choices matter game. Sometimes when that happens, it's a little iffy as to whether or not it's truly a choices matter game. This game is absolutely a choices matter, because if you get your choice wrong, if you get your answer wrong on one of the cases, you can't go back and fix it. You can't save scum. Everything is saved and it's set, right? So it's kind of like a roguelike kind of game in that you can't go back and make any changes. And so you have to really make sure that what you're choosing for the answer to your case is correct, or it could affect literally everything else that you do for the rest of the game. I think that that's really cool, especially for a mystery game. I mean, when you're a real life detective, you can't get do-overs. So I think it makes sense that a mystery point and click kind of along the same lines where you're playing a security officer / detective, it makes sense that you wouldn't be able to go back. So I think that was a really neat addition to this game. I think their other game also does this. So I thought it was very cool that this was something that was added in, because you get it right, great. It's going to help you progress the story. You get it wrong, it might give you a hindrance, or you might even get something wrong later on, and it could really affect how the game plays out for you, which, again, I thought it was really cool. The story itself is also very interesting. As I said, you're playing as Stella, and she is the assistant security chief. I'm not going to tell too much about the story because it is going to be spoilers. There's really not much I can say about this game without spoiling it. I just want to say that the mystery is very well done. The puzzles that are all part of each case are also very well done. Some of them are hard, and then some of them are not too bad. But the story itself is very good. You really get to meet a lot of different characters and see how they all interact in this spaceship that's on its way to another planet. I thought it was all very interesting. It's a fairly short game. I think I finished it in 8 or 9 hours, maybe a little longer. I didn't stream this one, so it was easy for me to just kind of dive right into it and kind of just play. And I will say, I had to stop maybe halfway through because it was getting late and I needed to go to bed. But all I could think about that night was this story and how it all ties together. And it is very well done. I will say though, and I talked about this when I did my Beacon Pines review, I like it when stories, especially mystery stories, can stump me and I can't figure it out. That happened with Beacon Pines and I was very excited about that. It did not happen with this one. I actually did more or less figure out everything that happened before I got to the final case. So that was a little bit of a bummer for me because I already kind of knew what was going to happen and I already knew why certain people were doing certain things. But it was still a very good game. It was still a very good mystery story. And I did really enjoy it. When I went into this game, I had actually requested this key because I had just finished playing Darkside Detective on stream. And I think I was kind of hoping that this was going to be like Darkside Detective. And for the most part, it was. Though I will say I think I preferred Darkside Detective for a couple of their point and click elements. I think that they had a better puzzle solving element to their game. The puzzle solving in Between Horizons was a little bit of a steep learning curve. It starts off super easy, and then as you get to the later parts of the game, it actually really did get quite difficult. And I will say I did get one of the cases wrong towards the end, and it's because I could not understand how the puzzle was supposed to be solved. I tried everything. I thought I got it right, and then it turned out, nope, no, I didn't. I got it wrong. And I do think that some of the puzzles were a little bit more difficult than they needed to be, but that could just be me. Some of them were very math focused, which is very much not my forte. So I will say that that was probably a me problem. If you don't have a problem with any of that and you're good with numbers and you're good with solving puzzles, then this is probably not going to be a problem for you. I typically do like solving puzzles, and that's actually why I chose to review this game, because again, I really liked Darkside Detective when I played that on stream. It's just that some of these were very difficult to understand puzzles. And the thing that I think kind of annoyed me the most with that is that because I had already kind of figured out the story and I knew what was going on, I couldn't get the answer that I wanted because I wasn't solving the puzzle properly. And that was like, it was annoying for me. Again, I think this was a me problem. I'm not saying everybody is going to have this problem. I think it's just because I am not a math person, and I'm also not great with certain types of puzzles. Again, I don't want to say too much because they're all different and I don't want to spoil it, but some of the puzzles were pretty difficult, and it did kind of have a pretty steep learning curve as time went on. So I do think, go into that as you will. If you're not big on puzzle solving, you may not like this very much, especially when it comes to numbers. If you're not a numbers person, I don't recommend it. I did okay for the most part until the very end of the game. Another thing that I did like that the game did, and this kind of goes along with the difficulty side of things, is they have a dialogue timer. So when you make your choices in dialogue, there's a timer that counts down pretty quickly. You can turn that off if you want. And I did do that because I was already having enough trouble trying to solve the puzzles. I didn't want to rush myself through dialogue choices because the dialogue, along with the puzzles, are very important and very choices matter. You don't want to say the wrong thing in dialogue. So I liked having the extra time to really think about what I wanted to say in certain situations, because the dialogue is incredibly important in this game and I don't recommend rushing through it. I actually want to argue the dialogue timer doesn't need to be there. I think that it's much better if you have the time that you need to kind of go through the game at your own pace. And the dialogue timer is pretty fast. And also, I don't think it's a good idea to rush through dialogue in this game. It is a much better idea to give yourself some time to really read everything and make sure you're understanding what's being said before you make a choice. So dialogue timer, it doesn't really work for that. Maybe if you're playing it again for like the second or third time and you know what's being said, you can turn the dialogue timer on. But I would say for a first playthrough, it's really not necessary. And I would actually argue that you probably shouldn't have it on at all. As I said, I really liked the characters in this game. There were a lot of really likable characters. There were also a lot of characters that were not likable. That was by design. You're not supposed to like them. And I think that for the most part, the characters were well written. And there were a couple of times where it was like, oh, dang, I actually didn't see that coming. Unfortunately, I did see the ending coming, like I said, but there were a couple other cases where I actually didn't realize it was a certain person. And I thought that that was a nice little addition to the game. Like I said, each case is kind of its own thing, but there is also a connection to everything. You can't solve the end case until you've done all of the other cases because they are all connected, but they also all have their own individual story as well. As for the graphics and the music in this game, I thought both were really great. The music was very like ominous sounding, and I thought that it worked really well for this type of game. It also kind of changed in its ominousity. No, that's not a word, is it? It became more ominous as things became more ominous. There we go. And it was just really well done. I did actually really like the soundtrack a lot to this game. I thought it worked perfectly for the story and for what was happening in the game itself. And again, the graphics were great as well. They are a pixel graphics kind of game. It is similar to Darkside Detective, though I feel like the graphics of Between Horizons are a little bit more HD than Darkside Detective, because Darkside Detective, they don't even have faces, I would say, when it comes to pixel graphics. And also there's a cute little like cat slash dog creature pet thing named Chi-Chi that you can pet. So, you know, whenever you can pet the dog, that's always great. Or it's a cat dog, cat alien dog, I don't know. But you can pet it and it's cute, so there's that. One other complaint that I have about the game, and this is just kind of a minor one, and it's probably also more of a me problem because I am a little bit of a stickler when it comes to grammar and spelling. I did notice there were quite a few grammatical and spelling mistakes in the game. And again, not a huge deal. Nothing was like causing me to misunderstand the cases or anything involved or any of the clues. It was just more that I would see them and then my immersion would break. But again, I think that's more of a me problem because I just tend to, I do this when I read books too. If I see anything wrong, I'm like, well, book's ruined. Can't read it now. No, I mean, I'll still read it, but like I'll be kind of whiny about it. So yeah, just a couple of little minor grammatical things, but nothing really major, nothing that would make me not want to play the game. Just something to be in mind if you are like me, where things have to be correct. So all in all, I actually really did enjoy this game, and I am glad that I was able to get it from Keymailer and play it. And I'm glad I didn't stream it because I do think that this is a game that is best enjoyed just kind of in a couple of like larger chunks or even all at once if you have the time for it, because the story is very intriguing and it really does make you think, like try and figure out what's going on. I wouldn't say this is necessarily a cozy point and click mystery game. I would say that Darkside Detective is, and that's partly why I decided to do this review, because I was hoping it was going to be on the cozier side, kind of like Darkside Detective, kind of like Beacon Pines. I wasn't really expecting it to be cozy like Beacon Pines, let's be honest. Beacon Pines is its own level of cozy and mystery and horror. Darkside Detective is kind of more what I was thinking this was going to be, and for the most part it is, but there is definitely a lot more, I guess, stress involved in this game because you have these choices that you literally can't get wrong, or the game itself is going to just be a very different game for you. So there's the stress of that. There's also the dialogue choices that have a timer. Again, you can turn it off if you want, but it's just much more high stakes than like Darkside Detective or Beacon Pines was. So I wouldn't necessarily call it a cozy game, but honestly, all in all, I actually really did enjoy this game, and I do think it's worth a playthrough. I believe it's around $16 US to get it on Steam, and I do think it's definitely worth that because you do get a good like 8-9 hours of gameplay, possibly even longer, but possibly longer, especially if you need more time to focus on the puzzles and stuff. So definitely worth the money. I do think that it's definitely worth your time if this is the kind of game for you, if you're interested in mystery point and clicks and not necessarily worried about like the cozy element of things. I think this is actually a pretty solid entry into the mystery point and click adventure series games. And yeah, I definitely liked it. I'm going to be giving it a 3.5 books out of 5. And I am also curious to play their other game at this point. Now that I've played Between Horizons, they also have another game named Lacuna. I have not played that one. I don't think they're related at all. You can play them separately. So I might go back and play that one at some point because I am pretty interested in seeing where that one goes. It also has that same kind of element of, you know, you have to make these choices correctly or the game's going to be like very different for you. I really like that element to this kind of mystery game. I thought that was really cool, so I might check that out at some point. But yeah, all in all, this was a great game, and I'm excited to see more from this developer and see where they go from here. But hopefully you all enjoy this review, and if you did, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.